Just listen to some of the appalling waste we have already identified. $22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of.
All right, it's time to weave out the lies so we can get to the facts. So right now, President Trump is finalizing the details of a plan to give every single American a $5,000 tax refund. And I'll tell you what, this plan has the Democrats absolutely losing their minds. So see, right now, this tax refund is being called the DOGE Dividend. And the way it works is actually revolutionary. Now, as I'm sure many of you know, right now, the Department of Government Efficiency is hacking and slashing all of the fraud and waste out of our federal budget. In fact, as things stand right now, DOGE has been able to cut out over $55 billion worth of waste so far, with the ultimate goal of cutting out $2 trillion by 2026. And so now here's what the DOGE dividend proposal actually looks like. For every dollar cut by the Department of Government Efficiency, every American would get 20% of that back in the form of a tax refund. So, what that means is that if you do the math on all of that, like I said earlier, we're talking about a $5,000 tax refund for every single tax-paying American. Now, the DOGE dividend proposal document actually gives some extra insight and clarity into why President Trump is pursuing this at all. You see, 4 big reasons are given for the DOGE tax refund. The first benefit is it will serve to right the wrongs that were done to the American taxpayer. Benefit 2, it will share the benefits of cost cutting with the American taxpayer. Benefit 3, it will boost tax morale. And of course, benefit 4, it will incentivize 2025 labor force participation. And then to top all of that off, because this tax refund is driven by budget cutting measures and not being financed, it won't even be inflationary. Now that's big. I don't know about you guys, but to me, this sounds like a pretty good idea. Now that being said, not everyone is happy about this because, as you can imagine, the folks over at CNN are actively doing everything they can to undermine all of this. Before we get to the good stuff, real quick, consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton with the daily struggle against the YouTube algorithm. Now let's take a look at how Stephen Miller, Trump's political advisor, absolutely destroys CNN's entire narrative about all of this. Take a look.
People are exhausted and tired of watching their tax dollars be corruptly spent, abused, wasted, and in every sense robbed and stolen from them. This president, for the first time in history, is committed to restoring accountability at every level of the federal government. You may assert there's no waste in the Pentagon. You may assert there's no waste in
Stephen,
Treasury.
I'm not
you may assert
asserting,
there's no waste in HHS.
That, Stephen, I don't think anyone...
Then why are you not celebrating these cuts? If you agree there is waste, if you agree there is abuse, if you agree there is corruption, why are you not celebrating the cuts, the reforms that are being instituted? Every day that no action is taken, the entire
Stephen, let's calm
salaries
down.
of American workers that are taxed disappear forever.
Stephen, let's calm down.
This is
we're not having a debate.
There's no reason
about whether there are places...
You are clearly trying to debate me, and I will be as excited as I want to be about the fact that we are saving Americans billions of dollars, that we are ending the theft and waste and grift and corruption, that we are stopping American taxpayer dollars from subsidizing a rogue federal bureaucracy that has been relentlessly weaponized against the American people.
Okay,
you
Stephen,
may not care about
I'm
this
not
issue.
Talking about
your colleagues may not
there's
care about
not
this
an
issue.
area
But we care about this
to cut in
issue.
the
The
government.
American people
that,
care about this issue.
You know why that video is so great? It really highlights that making America great again is no longer up for debate. We all voted to give President Trump a mandate to fix this country, and guess what? That is exactly what is happening. And so, really, what's sad when you think about it is that despite the vast majority of this country actually supporting everything that President Trump is doing right now, still the corrupt legacy media is trying to push their progressive agenda, which means they care not about what we, the American people, actually want. Almost as if Our government is no longer our government. In fact, you know what? Elon Musk made a great point about this the other night. Take a look.
It's funny how often when these attacks occur, the thing that they're accusing the administration of is what they are guilty of. They're saying that things are being done unconstitutional, but what they are doing is unconstitutional. They are guilty of the crime of which they accuse us.
That's always the first thing they do.
Yeah.
He's in violation of the Constitution. They don't even know what they're talking. Well,
It's absurd.
know. It's just a con job. It's a big con job. And they're so bad for the country, so dangerous and so bad. And the media is so bad. When I watch MSNBC, which I don't watch much, but you have to watch the enemy on occasion, the level of arrogance and cheating, and they're just horrible people.
Almost the whole of America knows they're hypocrites too, and people are just sick of it. So no wonder their ratings are in the toilet. But hey, you know whose ratings aren't in the toilet right now? Take a wild guess. Wow. So, what's the takeaway of all of that? It means that Trump not only has rebuilt the Republican Party, but also he's rebuilding America. And hey, here's the reality. Democrats have yet to come to terms with this reality, but Americans are absolutely loving Trump's agenda.
Trump and the Republican Party has changed the electorate. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at party identification, Democrats versus Republicans. You go back to 2017, 5 points more of the electorate was Democrats than Republicans. You go to 2021 when Joe Biden was starting out, look at that, 6 points more of the electorate was Democrats than Republicans. But look at what's happened in February of 2025. Look at this. Republicans, there are more Republicans in the electorate than there are Democrats. Republican +2. So Donald Trump and the Republicans have remade the electorate. They've turned some people over from being Democrats or independents to become Republicans. New folks have entered the electorate who are more Republican leaning. And so when you combine that with the fact that Republicans are really, really behind Donald Trump, all of a sudden you get a winning recipe whereby you break the normal rules of politics and give Donald Trump that positive net approval rating when he had pretty much a consistently negative one in term number one.
This is what we voted for. Border security is popular. Mass deportations are popular. Focusing domestically here in America as opposed to globally elsewhere in the world is popular. Cutting out government waste is popular. And guess what? $5,000 tax refunds are also pretty popular. This is the reason why President Trump won every single swing state and was the first Republican to win the popular vote in 20 years, and was able to shift all 50 states to the right in the 2024 election, and now has the highest approval ratings of all time, because people love what President Trump is doing, and they're sick of all the manipulation coming from the left. In fact, take a look at what the usual suspect Chuck Schumer had to say about all of this just the other day.
Of course there's some wasteful spending, but you don't use a meat axe and cut everything. We need to look at each program. We need to go through Congress and see what's wasteful and move to eliminate it, and what's very not wasteful but very much needed. I'll give you one example. They went after community health centers in Medicaid. They're among the most efficient producers of health care we have, yet they tried to eliminate them. Makes no sense. They're just using a meat axe and cutting everything, including many things that American families need, want, and approve of.
That is a perfect example of the manipulation and lies from the left that people are just sick of. Here he is, pushing this blatantly false narrative that Trump is just going around indiscriminately cutting things from the federal budget, and that Trump should instead work with Congress to get rid of all the waste. Newsflash, Congress pretty much created all of the waste. How long has Chuck Schumer been in Congress? Over 40 years, that's right. How much waste has he cut? Zero. I hope the Department of Government Efficiency is able to keep on rooting out all of the fraud and all of the waste from inside of the federal government, and that they can actually give some of that money back to the people. Because that money is better off in your pocket than in the pocket of some corrupt Washington, D.C. swamp beast. And as we all now know, that is exactly what was happening. Don't be afraid to subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you found it informative. Hell, even share it with your family and friends. And let's talk about it in the comments here on Facts Only.